In spring, you have to deal with every weather imaginable, and that includes rain. So I love fishing in the rain, but I hate being wet all day. So I finally invested in my first legitimate rain suit. So today we're doing a gear review. Let's get into it. So for my rain set, I ended up going with the Striker, the Vortex bib, and the pullover. I've used Striker for my ice fishing bibs before, and I absolutely love them. They fit incredibly well, really comfortable, and for as long as I've had them, they're very durable. So I went with that brand again. Part of the reason I wanted to do a gear review is these are not cheap. Rain gear in general is very expensive. So I wanted everybody to kind of get an opinion from somebody who actually had to pay for it, not sponsored by any means. So if you're thinking about getting into them, you have some sort of idea, or I guess something, you know, you can go back to. I think the bibs were right around 200, and then the pullover was like 179 or 180, something like that. And the pullover's a little bit cheaper than the actual jacket. So before anybody makes, you know, invest that kind of money, you know, be able to review something, give some people an idea as to whether they want to get into it or not. I am 6 foot 225, so I ended up with the XLs because your boy's thick. But again, Striker, you know, the recommendations that they have on the site for my ice fishing bibs were phenomenal. They fit perfectly. So we went with the recommended sizes again for the rain gear. Hopefully it fits just as well as my ice gear did. So we'll go ahead and cut these open, and try them on. I'll go ahead and throw some of the specs up for, you know, this stuff. But let's get it on and see how she feels. Get out of the rain, because it is cold. So this is what she looks like. It honestly fits great. I do have a hoodie underneath here because it is quite cold and not the easiest to get on with just the pullover. So if you're one to go ahead and throw a bunch of layers on, the actual full zipper might be a little bit easier to get it on and off, but fits wonderfully. I mean, I have to imagine that, you know, hook sets or anything like that, full range of motion. I don't have any concerns or problems with that. It does have a fleece lined neck, which, I mean, if you're fishing in really cold water or weather, is probably really nice to have. But yeah, it does have cuffs on it. I guess 2 sets of cuffs. They got the neoprene one that are supposed to prevent a little bit of water, you know, from obviously running down the arms. That's, if you just have like a typical rain jacket, that's something that's really common. So nice to see that. One thing that might sound stupid, but I actually appreciated a lot, was the actual tags, the little pieces that run through the fabric and stuff like that. They were actually attached to like the D-rings and stuff like that. So no holes actually in your gear, which when you're trying to prevent, you know, rain from leaking in, is great. It's such a simple thing, but I really appreciate that they did that. So feels great though. Now let's go ahead and stick it out in this nasty weather and see if we can't catch some fish, and we'll do a kind of a review towards the end as to how much we like it. Let's get after it. All right, we are starting off with throwing the Mini Max. I like using something that's got a little bit more vibration to it when it's raining, just because I think if you're using something super finesse, it's a little bit more difficult for those fish to find. So that's why we're starting off with that. As far as the fit with this, I have absolutely no range of motion, like nothing feels constricted. So that's great. I mean, in all honesty, that's probably the biggest thing that you want in a rain suit, short of staying dry. So far I am loving this, as I hoped I would. Oh, a bite. So we made it out to the mini pond. At the last pond, we fished for about 45 minutes without a single bite in some pretty, I would say, moderate rain. And still bone dry, which is great. I didn't have any rain that leaked or dripped down my arm. I assume because of these neoprene cuffs that they got on there. So that's great. I've had cheaper rain jackets before. That's one of the first things that happens is, you know, you stay relatively dry, but then it just leaks all the way down your arm and everything's wet anyway. So that is wonderful. The rain has kind of turned into a little bit more of a drizzle now, but it is supposed to rain on and off for the rest of the day. So we'll still get some more experience in the rain, but I would say the last place we were at gave us a pretty good experiment, or what it would be like, you know, acting in the rain. So we're gonna go ahead and see if we can't catch a couple fish, and whether we do or don't, we'll go home and do a kind of review as to what I thought of the rain suit. But hopefully we can get a couple fish before that. This one. Get him. Good gracious. Are these things slow? Got the front hook though. In one of the other videos, I was talking about how much fun jerkbaits are when it's a good jerkbait bite. When they're like this, and you have 10-second pauses after jerking it, not nearly as much fun. All right, we were able to catch one at least. We'll see if we can catch another. It's been about a half hour, and that was our first bite. So, and it's kind of changed from rain to rain / sleet, snow. Again, it's only about 34 out here, so, and it's supposed to start snowing a little bit later tonight, so pretty chilly. With that being said, I'm not very cold. My hands are cold, but my actual body isn't. So with it being this cold, I do wonder if this suit would potentially get a little hot in summer, but we'll most certainly have opportunities to go ahead and try that out later in the year. But for your cold weather applications, this is phenomenal. Again, I'm only in a hoodie with the suit, and then I've got shorts on underneath the bib, so very, very comfortable, short of cold hands. Oh, got one. Felt him pop it. A little bit bigger of fish. Oh. Oh, and there he goes. You got both sets of hooks. Maybe they're finally starting to turn on a little bit. We'll count that as a second fish. There's one. On the paws. The back hook. Yep, he's back hook. Small guy. Yep. You can catch fish in some pretty terrible conditions, but it's when they're this lethargic, not the greatest. I'd be much happier to be fishing in the rain when it's like 70 out versus 33, but let's see if we can get lucky with one more fish before heading home. It's starting to, I don't even know that it's really rain anymore. It's more like sleet, almost snow, so still doing a great job of keeping us dry. But of course, the best fish that we have bite, not on camera. He popped it too. See if we can't get one more. This one on the paws. Oh, get him in the eye. Oh, just don't. There we go. Oh yeah. Let him go. When you have a bite on jerk baits like this, it's such a weird thing because you're letting it sit there for, you know, 8, 10. I can't really, I don't have the patience to fish it much slower than a 10-second pause, but you just let it sit there and then all of a sudden you just have a bunch of line get taken up, and it's such a, it doesn't feel like a pop like a normal bite. It's so mushy, but it'll still bite even in this disgusting weather. But it's starting to pick up a little bit more rain now, but I think we had 2 back-to-back, so we might have a couple more casts to see if we can't just get another one. Well, we could not get any more fish to bite in the rain or the snow, so we will go back home and do a breakdown of our rain suit. So we're back home out of the cold, rain, sleet, snow mix that we had out there. Again, the suit kept me bone dry, but my hands were absolutely numb from sitting out there in all that weather. But let's get into a review or what I thought of the Striker Vortex Rain Gear. In all honesty, it exceeded all my expectations. Again, I'm new to expensive rain suits. I've never had one before, so when I was looking for one to buy, I didn't really know what features I did or didn't want or what mattered to me. I just knew that I liked the Striker brand because I love their bibs for ice fishing, so that's the one I went with. But again, it exceeded all my expectations as far as everything goes. I guess the most important part of rain suit is obviously keeping you dry, which this did wonderfully. It was very breathable. Again, we were fishing in very, very cold weather, so we didn't have to deal with humidity or anything else like that. Whenever we use this in spring and summer when it's much, much warmer, obviously we'll get a little bit more experience as to how it is with that. But in the cold weather, it was absolutely phenomenal. I absolutely loved this fleece neck piece. It, you know, because it was so cold, kept me really warm. It was nice. Didn't have to worry about any, you know, water leaking down. It was very cozy as far as that goes. Again, in summer might not be something that I really care that much about, but in this instance, it was phenomenal. As far as everything else goes, like the range of motion in this was wonderful. I couldn't have asked for anything more. The sizing specifics that Striker gives out or recommends on their site has fit me perfectly for both sets, my ice stuff and my rain gear. So I've never had an issue with that. We went up and down the bank walking. There was no feeling of like restriction or anything else like that. Casting, there was no problem setting the hook. So that was wonderful. The one thing I do wish I would have done is got a full zip. Putting on the actual rain gear was a little bit more difficult than I thought. It was cold out there, so I did have a hoodie on. You know, so in summer, have one less layer, a little bit less bulk. But I do wish I would have gone with the full zip. I originally got with the half zip just because less zipper, less opportunity to fail, you know, less potential for any water to leak in or anything else like that. But looking back, I would have probably gone with the full zip. The half zip is a little bit cheaper too. I think it's like $20, but I probably would have opted for going a little bit more. Beyond that, I absolutely loved the neoprene cuffs that they had on this guy. My one criticism I would say for this entire suit is that I do have a little bit bigger hands than average. Once my hands got wet, trying to take it off was actually difficult, and I had undone the Velcro, loosened up as much as I possibly could, and I still couldn't get my hand out, and I did rip a stitch. So that was my one criticism for this whole suit. It's not going to change the performance of it at all, and obviously you can cinch it, re-Velcro it up once you put it on and stuff like that. But I do wish the neoprene was just a little bit bigger. But that's about my only criticism for it. As far as the features that I didn't know I would like, that I'm glad that this suit does have, is, I guess, one, for all the zippers, they have like a little bit of soft plastic to keep the zipper attachment or the zipper pull open, especially when you're fishing in really cold weather like we were the other day. Your dexterity of your hands and fingers is not the greatest. So this was actually really useful and something that I didn't really think that, again, didn't think that was something that I would care about or anything like that. Going along with that dexterity, these extra little rubber pulls on the end of the cuffs, phenomenal. It made it so much easier to grab, especially in the cold weather when you have less dexterity. That was phenomenal. As far as the pockets go, on both the jacket and the bibs, there are enough pockets, and they are so large that you can take a ton of, gear, cell phone, wallet, everything, and not feel, again, constrictor, anything like that. In all honesty, you could probably take more in your pockets than you honestly need or want, and you could probably weigh yourself down quite a bit. But absolutely loved everything about this. As far as the fashion goes, I would never take fashion advice from myself, but the minimalist look to it, black with the, I don't know what color that is, moss taupe sort of deal, I thought looked really good. Again, I wouldn't take any fashion advice from me, but I thought it looked decent. Again, there's nothing in this suit I would really change. For the most part, it kept me dry. It was breathable, comfortable to wear, and did everything that a rain suit, I assume, should. But if you guys have used this suit and have any other areas that, anything that I missed, by all means, comment that in the comment section below. And as always, if you guys like the video, if you wouldn't mind liking, that would be great. And as always, if you want to see more videos like it, if you wouldn't mind subscribing, that'd be greatly appreciated also. Till the next one.